and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Meh.
Well, hey, listen, we bragged so hard last week about the quality of our podcast sound. And then I had to record a retraction to put in the very beginning of the episode, walking back. But guess what? We're going to brag again. I think we finally got it down. Man. We got all the crispy sound, and hopefully there's no retractions.
No, I promise you we'll be fine this time. But let me tell you something. It's super janky how I've got this set up. I've got my laptop set up, I've got my character name list, all that. I'm prepared, but I'm not using the laptop at all for recording purposes. I'm using my phone again, people. Yeah. I'm using my phone again because my audio jack decided to just be a jack, you know what, and just not work. So, it's fine. Just playing the audio through the laptop, and then it all picks up through my mic.
Well, yeah, and that wound up being, that was the issue, is that when you sent me your file and everything, but when I went to listen to it, I heard myself. It was picking up from the computer. It was.
And I thought we were good, too, because I was watching the Zoom the entire time. Yep. It's got the little audio level. I'm like, oh, it's fine. When I'm not talking, I have nothing. Yeah, We're good. I'm not being stupid right now. We're good. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we will continue to work on a lot of this stuff as we go along, and we've done quite a bit of upgrading equipment. In the literal years we've been doing the podcast. I think, what is our anniversary? July? Isn't it July, or is it June or something? Late June? Or we never remember it.
Yeah, I'd say probably July.
Yeah, let me put it this way: we never remember it, but I mean, we have done.
We could actually look that up. We could just check the upload date for the.
I don't want to do
first episode.
Nah, I'm good.
I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick.
Of course, the fun thing is the first episode does not appear on all platforms. Because
did we upload the first to YouTube? Because that's what I'm looking
okay,
up.
so here's the issue. It's not on YouTube. And the problem is with the intro episode. The first episode when we started the book series should be up there, but the problem is there, I don't know if they still do it, but there was a lag in Podbean that you had to wait I think it was like 2 weeks before they started regularly posting episodes. And I think that there was even some trouble early on with the linkage. So there's missing episodes on YouTube. I mean, we don't get
just to put into perspective, YouTube has 114 episodes, and some are missing.
Yeah,
that's crazy to think about.
So 114. We have. I think that this might be like 131, 132, something in there. Now
131, 2, yes, yeah, 132.
Now there is a problem. Because there were some episodes where we did a couple episodes a week, random stuff, comic power hour that I was doing, some special stuff
movie
here
reviews,
and there,
stuff like that.
Yeah. So Podbean only puts up one every 7 days. So, I mean, I could go back and re-upload it, but I don't care. Listen to it on iTunes or, whatever. I don't know. So we have definitely, done a lot here, but there's still some more to do. And because we can't really get together as much to record, we're doing with what we can. But we should be okay now. We should have both mics, nice audio, all that good stuff, and away we go.
So now that you can hear my full, crisp, clear, beautiful, monotone voice, I'll go ahead and ask you, how's your week been?
I mean, it's been fine. It was just kind of a blah week, and it seems like a lot of people at like work have been having health issues and all that stuff, and like I finally went to my doctor for like the yearly checkup that I haven't done in like 2 or 3 years.
The terrifying checkup where they tell you that you're dying because you don't take care of yourself.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, everything was cool. I think the last time I went in, I think, she was getting on about the blood pressure a little bit. But there again, there was a lot of stuff going on at the time when I was there where I wasn't necessarily as, I was a little bit more stressed out at the time. But no, everything seems to be okay. They didn't call on the blood work, so I suppose that's good. I hope. But no,
You're not dying today, at least.
Not today. Not today. No, but oh my goodness, the place is bare. They're really, really making a real effort to decrease people volume. But it was like, because the building that my doctor is in now was built new like 2 years ago. They built this new building, and like one half is like the blood side, the other half is like the doctor side, pediatrics, family medicine, all that good stuff. And so I get sent over to the blood side, and like it's not lit up, and there's just like one girl there who's doing everything. She's like the receptionist, and she's drawing the blood, and is like, this seems like real janky. But I got to tell you, the last time I had like the real blood done, like they take it from your arm, not like because blah, blah, blah. I've gotten the finger prick stuff, little tiny bit of blood. But doing it this way, I mean, no marks. She did an awesome job. And I got to say,
that's rare.
Well, I'm not hard to draw blood
really
on.
Rare.
Yeah, I'm not hard, but I remember like back when I was doing some of the MMA stuff, you had to do blood panels before actually fighting. I remember one time I just went to the health department because I was in my early 20s. I didn't have money. I didn't really want to go to a doctor. And they did it for free there at the health department. And she murdered my arm. It was huge. It's like, what are you doing? Oh man. So yeah.
Yeah, you walk out of the place like, okay, people are gonna think that I'm on something because I got these marks on my arms now.
Yeah.
I had that happen when I was giving blood locally, place we grew up. Mm-hmm. They have volunteers, they get quick training for it. And I'm just like you, I'm easy to draw blood on. Typically you can find my veins I'm shallow. I'm very shallow. So
right. We all know you're shallow.
I have a site map, people. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Just give it to me. I'll do it myself, And they butcher you. They really do.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't know if
you're trying to do a good thing.
Hand or yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to be nice and you just stab me 30 times. You better give me a second cookie.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Seriously.
By the way, July 23rd was the first chapter of Vector Prime for us.
Okay,
July
so
23rd, 2018.
It probably would have been then 2 weeks before that because we put up like a chat episode like to introduce us. So there was
a story with Star Wars and whatnot.
So that it would have been like the beginning of July when I probably like reserved or opened up the Podbean. So we'll just say July 1st. Whatever. Sure. What year was it? Did it give you a year?
18.
2018. So we're going on the third year of
we're
the
about
podcast.
To hit our third year. It's crazy.
Wow. Wow, really? Dang, that's wild.
And just out of curiosity, I'm also going to check while we're talking some more. 45 views on episode 1. Not great, but it's episode 1, chapter 1, fraying fabrics. I don't expect much.
Well, there's nothing really on you. We don't get views on YouTube. I think the highest viewed episode on there might have been the Dooku Jedi Lost book review, and it got like maybe 200 or something like that. But there's no picture.
It's very dismal.
Yeah. It's just like audio.
1, 3, 7. I mean, I understand that 100%.
Well, just metrically, Podbean checks the metrics from everywhere. And we've actually been doing really well, at least from a metric standpoint. The Mando episodes were actually some of our more popular ones, just like initially. The cool thing, though, statistically, and this is a little bit of making the sauce, so to speak, the cool thing about like any project that I do, whether it's YouTube or podcasting, it always seems like there's like this slow but continuous build. I've never really been a part of anything that just went like viral, but like, you know, I have YouTube videos that have done 40, 30, 20,000 views and so forth, and everything stays really consistent. The weird thing about this podcast is things just stay relatively consistent. Like certain episodes pop up in the feed and it's like, hey, there's so many views on it. It's like, why? This is like 2 years old now. But it continues to happen. But like a lot of our Mandalorian episodes were popping pretty good, and I thought that was kind of neat. Obviously, there were a lot of people who were consuming Mandalorian, and we still periodically get like a new follower on Podbean and so forth, because you can follow podcasts there. Obviously, subscription metrics. I don't know about Apple or Spotify. Like I've never really. There are some Spotify metrics in Podbean, but like all the direct stuff, I don't really care to look at all that much. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting. But yeah, kind of a blah week. I've had to. I'm gonna need to get a new pair of primary glasses. The problem is my glasses that I wear most often, they're discontinued. I need that blue light blocker. I've noticed it really bad this week where I've been getting the migraines, and I have another pair. I'll grab them. I don't think you probably haven't seen these because, again, they're just a secondary pair of these big old black plastic ones. Yeah, there's some.
What? Those are some of the sturdiest glasses you can get.
Yeah, these are like the Buddy Holly nerd glasses, but but they're great because they have the blue light blocker, and I do notice a real difference. Like when I'm just sitting here in the office and working, obviously having to work from home, it does help. It helps me quite a bit, and I've had to do that.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely looking forward to getting that myself. I actually have an eye appointment tomorrow. I've gone 3 years with the same prescription, so this could be night and day.
I'm probably right there with you. I should go, but I don't. Yeah. I don't really care. So anyway, let's go ahead.
I just assume my eyes don't change in those 3 years because I'm an adult now. My eyes should just stay the same.
Yeah, that's right. Your teeth, your bones, your back, your feet. Yeah, it all stays the same.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that. I still have one baby tooth.
What?
I just never dealt with.
What?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was just either that or the tooth just. It's weird because there's a pretty major gap between the two beside it, and it's half the size. So it's an underdeveloped adult tooth or a baby tooth that just never fell out. But I do need to eventually get that dealt with. It's getting looser like every day, it seems like.
What?
So, yeah. You never noticed that?
No. I'm not looking at your teeth, man. So here, smile for me. I need to see all your little baby teeth. What are you talking about?
Well, hold on. I'll show you the baby tooth right now. We'll just do it
show all the people on the podcast where we don't do a...
I don't know how well this is going to pick up for you, but hold on.
This is so interesting for all the listeners. Was it the bottom one?
Yeah, I doubt you can really see it very well, but it's tiny. It's tiny.
So they get... Well,
I don't know.
Weird, man. So... Jeez, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. That's crazy.
Well, pre HSA days, I just didn't care about it. I just ignored it. Yeah. Now it's like, no, I'm just gonna spend all the money on myself.
Well, just get them all knocked out and get some new fancy veneers, and it'll be fine, right?
Yeah, bleach them. Just bleach them. It's funny. I never take care of my. I don't take care of my teeth, but I don't have issues with my teeth. But I didn't have a lot of sugar growing up, truthfully.
Yeah.
Just never into popping stuff, so I don't know.
Well, it's not a good thing to be into at any age, really. It's just sugar to rot your soul. Well, I am sure that all of our adoring fans have been just mystified by our story. But I think we
have
should...
a patient audience, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so.
You guys are so awesome.
No, Star Wars. It's like
audience?
15 minutes.
What audience?
Well,
imagine if we do a live chat. The comments would be like, how long do you think it'll be this time?
Yeah, seriously. So I don't remember if we did it in our prior episode, but I want to give you guys a little bit more of a view into sort of some of the schedule that's coming up, because a lot of things are going to be very much literary based, because what else is there
It's
to do?
everything this month.
So obviously today we're going to go over another book in the new Jedi Order, and this one is Agents of Chaos 2 Jedi Eclipse. Next week, we decided we are going to dive into comics. Really, you for the first time, me, back in. We are going to go over the current main Star Wars line from Marvel. There are 10 issues out to this point, so we're probably going to blast through a lot of that, go through the story. It is a very interesting story. I believe it's been some time since I've even really read them. I have a stack of things that I haven't even really read, but this is a post-Empire, return. So we're going to go through those. Very interesting contents in some of those, some saber lore, just some cool stuff. So that will be next week. Then the following week, we will be going back into the High Republic, and that one is Into the Dark. So that's Claudia Gray's book, and that one we've been looking forward to, or at least I've been looking forward to. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah. It's Claudia Gray. Of course I am.
So, yeah, Claudia, she has been such a welcome addition to the Star Wars writing team. Just really great work. And she's finally,
such a nerd. Just watching all the documentaries, she's such a nerd. It's great.
It's great. So then after that, we are actually going to finally get into Resistance. And so this would be recording probably on the 20th of the month, but we will be going over season 1 of Resistance. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna power through it and see what it's all about, and then maybe March or April we'll go through season 2. But it is one of those things that we never watched. I've never watched it.
It's the art style for me. It's 100% the art style.
Well, and plus when it was actually airing, I believe it was just on like the Disney Channel, and I haven't had cable in years, and I never felt the need to. So I just never watched it. I didn't even. Well, I probably could have found it somewhere. I just didn't feel like it. But yeah, the art style is different, and
plus you were kind of into Rebels at the time.
Well,
you already had your show.
Yeah, much more into Rebels. Clone Wars is great. Rebels is probably my favorite, but this one, it just didn't look particularly good to me. And I can appreciate different art styles, and I think, even like early Clone Wars, people weren't really happy with the trapezoidal nature of that. N64 graphic chip, but
the little chin spike that Ahsoka used to have.
Yeah. But it was different. It was interesting, and it smoothed out a lot over the years. Rebels, I think, had, the funniest thing about Rebels was the clothing, because it was all like, it was just skin.
Yeah.
It didn't move naturally at all, so
right.
That was always kind of a funny thing with that. But anyway,
something I always thought was kind of odd between Clone Wars and Rebels was the difference in lightsaber size. You ever notice that?
No, that's a good shout, because the sabers in Rebels were so skinny.
Yeah,
very skinny little beams,
like awkwardly skinny. Like,
yeah,
it's just strange. I don't know why they went that route. The Clone Wars, I get a lot of people were like, oh, they're too big, it's too much, but it's, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll be getting into Resistance towards the end of the month, talking a little bit about that. I think we have a couple of other non-canon books we're going to look into. Obviously, New Jedi Order. We're going to continue on down that road, but there's so many books in that series, it'll take a while. And, doing one a month.
A third of the way through.
Yeah, true. But to get a little bit further advanced in that, kind of the reason why you sort of met at the beginning of this episode was Agents of Chaos Jedi Eclipse is probably not one of our favorite books. But the real question is it better than what was the second book in I should know this.
Yes. Dark Tide.
Yeah, it was it Dark Tide 1? Was that the one we gave a bunch of crap to?
I think it was, although honestly neither were really all that great, but one was worse. Let me Google that real quick.
So it was Onslaught.
Onslaught, yeah.
Yeah, so it was Dark Tide 1 Onslaught.
Shimmering. Everything's shimmering.
Well, I got to tell you, some things started shimmering in this book, too.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Cut his gaze. I'm going to cut my gaze to you.
Yeah, Michael Stackpool, after Vector Prime, because Vector Prime was really good. Mm-hmm. Onslaught and Ruin were Hero's Trial, our last book was
good.
And that was good. Yeah, and that was a Han adventure. And yeah, I mean, Han notwithstanding, I still thought it was a good adventure, right?
But this is like a Han adventure. It's like a Han adventure without Han in this one. It's
very little Han. Yeah. So, if we're gonna get into spoiler territory, but if I had to describe this in just like general terms, I would say it's kind of like attempting to be the smart spy espionage. War planning, state office kind of book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you either like that or you don't. Or you either think it's clever or it's not.
But it was kind of like weak espionage.
Yeah.
It was like espionage for 6-year-olds.
Well, yeah, and I mean, let's kind of jump in here because, and let me also make a note here because we talked about it at the beginning. These books are on Audible. They are abridged. Now, I thought... This book is severely abridged. I thought that Hero's Trial, although it was abridged, it felt like it flowed pretty good. Jedi Eclipse, it was the bad side of abridging a book. There were times when things seemed very disjointed. It was like a little over 3-hour runtime, I think, right?
Just barely. Yeah, each chapter was about 45, 50 minutes. Yes. And it was odd. So Hero's Trial, I actually read about 3/4 of the book, roughly. Yeah. And then I went to the abridged, and I felt like they did it well. I mean, they just kind of skipped some unneeded dialogue, but not the actual conversation. They never skipped any conversation. It's just they cleaned it all up. This... I almost felt like going back and reading the book just to see how much they really got rid of. Like, is it really that short of a book, or do they just not know how to abridge properly?
Yeah, I just think they just did it poorly, honestly. There were just a lot of things that were missing from the text. So you can still get these books, and I think Amazon even has a lot of these paperback versions that you can just buy for $7-8. So if you're really interested... I'm going to say this. I feel like New Jedi Order gets real good down the line. Like, I'm talking about probably star by star on. So I would say once we get into star by star, which we have to get through a little bit more until we get there. Let me actually check a few of these. Edge of Victory series... You know what? I will say the second Edge of Victory, Rebirth, excellent cover, but also getting pretty interesting. So I would say from Rebirth on, Star by Star, Dark Journey. Dark Journey is honestly probably one of my favorites. Rebel Dream, that's another really good one. Rebel Stand, Traitor. So yeah, it starts to get better the second half. We're doing a lot of table setting. But anyway... If you want to get the book and read it, cool. If you just want to do the audiobooks on these guys, I mean, it'll get you the general story. It just seems like this one just wasn't done very well. That's kind of why I hate Abridged. But
yeah.
So, again, Jedi Eclipse. We sort of start on Jendine as we are evacuating refugees from a Yuuzhan Vong attack. And this is a fairly common theme throughout this book. So you just want to let's just knock out the refugee stuff because it's not really all that interesting to me. There's basically a smuggler's type ring that is taking refugees from New Republic planets and putting them on planets that are potentially susceptible to Yuuzhan Vong because the Yuuzhan Vong want slaves. All right, they just do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of profiteering in this. The galaxy is getting very, very dirty very quickly. We even have a story about some Ren who, are being they did a favor. It's like, well, here's some forged documents. Get us the hell out of here. And then, they're dropped into a nothing planet, and this is where Han Solo and his buddy Droma, do some rescue stuff. But the idea of refugees is very prevalent here because the Yuuzhan Vong are still in the attack. They're not letting up, and they're kind of the New Republic is spread pretty thin,
which they always have been, and they don't learn from this. Ultimately, at the end of the series, unfortunately, they're a very poorly ran government, and they don't protect their people very well.
Not much about the Chancellor.
No, don't want to get into that.
Where's the leadership? I don't know. We talk about a senator in here, which we'll get to later, but is there a government?
She is not a good replacement for a chancellor.
It's like, where's the government, man?
Maybe Mon Mothma has been wearing an Oogolith all along.
Oh, goodness.
From the beginning.
Well, the thing is like in Vector Prime, we got the government. But after that, it seems like the government we're not going to talk about it in these books for some reason, at least early on. We also get the Hutts. Mm-hmm. So, depending on what you think about the Hutts, they have space, okay? And they are a power, despite being giant slugs. And Commander Malak Kar and Nominor are just busting things up, making deals with the Hutts. The Hutts just want to be able to run their spice and control the slave trade.
Yeah, they want left alone. They want to know how to avoid using Vong at a risk or at a cost, essentially. Yes.
And obviously the Yuuzhan Vong don't care about the Hutts, but they are being, I don't know, a little reasonable, I guess, with them, at least in the beginning here. We even have one of our Hutts. Oh, geez. Which one was the Hutt that was actually coming along with the Yuuzhan Vong?
Oh, yeah, Borga's.
Well, Borga was kind of their leader who made the deal.
Kinsman or whatever you would call it. I don't know if it was like a son or whatever, but.
Yeah. Do I even care about finding this name?
I don't either. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys know I forget names like crazy. And it really doesn't matter. But we do have a couple of Hutts. I do remember Gardula the younger?
Yeah.
Not Gardula the Hutt, the younger Hutt.
The only one that can walk.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So we also get the return, by the way, of one of our old Jedi pals, Roose Skitter. He comes back. We find him. And then he's captured. Intentionally.
Very quickly.
Yes. But it is kind of a plan. There's very little intelligence coming in to the Republic about the Yuuzhan Vong, their movements, their coordination, any of their plans. And Skitter...
Targets. Yeah.
Right. And Skitter, he even says in here, he wants to be the knight, or he wants people to see him as the knight.
Old.
Yeah. yeah, the knight he wants to be Jedi of old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't hate Woo Skidder. I don't. But we saw him kind of being this headstrong, almost angry, easy to take affront in our beginning of this whole story, flyboy type of deal. Makes mistakes, but kind of came out on top. And unfortunately, as we get further on here, this capture's not great. Not good. And realistically, let's also talk about this. This is not a singular storyline. So, like, our last book was very solo-centric. There were some branches, but it was like a main solo adventure.
This is all over the place.
Yeah. And same writer, too, by the way. Same writer wrote both of these books, just to mention. I have the book down here. James Luceno. He wrote both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a Han story. We have a Skidder story. We have
an Anakin story.
Yeah, we have a Leia story. We have an Anakin Jason story. We have a Hutt story. We have some stories with the Yuuzhan Vong. We've got the Senator story.
We do not, however, have a Luke, Mara, or Jaina story. We have Luke's opinion of Centerpoint. We have Jaina saying, "Well, I could buy spice," and nothing on Mara at all.
Let me give you I'll give you one guess as to why I like some of the later books better. Why do you think that is?
Because they're centered around Luke, Mara, and Jaina. Specifically Jaina.
A lot more Jaina. Yeah. A lot more Jaina later on. Anyway.
Jaina is probably the best of the three, truthfully.
We talked about that in the past. She's the most balanced. She has her flaws. She's still young. But I think she takes some of the best parts of both of them. And I got to tell you, man, I am tired of the constant dogging of Anakin. I am so tired of this. Even Leia at one point.
If Daddy ain't doing it, Big Brother Jason is. It's terrible.
Let's just talk about the Anakin Jason, because honestly, this is probably the most interesting part of the book to me. Centerpoint Station, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about the arc. So Centerpoint Station is a weapon. And we get a Corellia that is not just a shipyard like it was in Solo. Like, Corellia is a real place with real people. It's not just a crap hole like it had been under the Empire. And Centerpoint Station is a very powerful weapon. And there are some ties to Abeloth later down the line. There's a lot of ties to this station. And to be honest with you, we might dive a little bit deeper in this episode, but there's going to be a time where we have to dig deeper into this. There's even a story from when Anakin and Jason were kids where Anakin technically avoided a disaster at Centerpoint, which makes him the focal point of it now because the station has imprinted on him.
He's melded with it.
Yeah, which is weird. A technological station that only answers to Anakin Solo.
It senses your brain waves. It molds to your hand when you touch the controls.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Why would they set it up that way?
It gives you a special joystick. Touch it. Touch it, Annie.
It feels perfect in my hand. Like it was made for my hand.
Like it was made for me. So around this time, the New Republic is trying to get the Yuuzhan Vong to attack Corellia because they feel that this weapon could potentially turn the tide. They can get the ships in there. We can get rid of the Davin vassals. We can defeat them if they go to Corellia. However, the Yuuzhan Vong kind of already know that that's happening, and we'll get into that here in a second. I know we're bouncing around. I just want to keep with Jason and Jaina, or Jason and Anakin, because there's some interesting things going here back and forth between them. Anakin is really trusting his brother, looking to him for advice, and Jason is just being this combative D-bag again. Combative. I think I tried to say combative. I think I said combative. And it's like, will you just please grow up a little bit, Jason?
Well, it even gets to the point where, you start this conversation going into the chapter, And Jason's just dogged him like, no, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, this is a powerful weapon. This is a lightsaber on steroids. You know,
Yeah.
we're going to destroy the universe. And Anakin's like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I'm not arguing with you one bit.
Yeah.
Well, Uncle Luke, what do you think about it? What Uncle Luke thinks is
I agree with you
stop
too.
being a child.
Yeah. But ultimately, towards the end, and we'll get to this as we move down a little bit, there's a decision that dang, I keep going. Terrible.
No.
Jason
Jaina only wants spice in this episode. This book.
She's a wild one. But yeah, I mean, Jason essentially makes this life-altering decision for Anakin because Anakin looks to his brother for this advice. He needs to know a little bit more. So anyway, there was a part in here where even Leia dogs Anakin a bit. And I'm like, dude, please stop. There is nothing wrong with this kid. He could be better than all of them.
Truthfully, I mean, he's actually one of the most talented Force user. When you think about it, he's more in tune with the Force than any of them.
Well,
he's the one that came up with the linked piloting. Yeah. And
he is the Avar Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. Parallels.
Yeah.
So there were three. Remember, 3 Jedi in there. We had Avar. We had Rios. I'm forgetting. This is really bad. We just went over this not too long ago. Let me look up their names so that I can actually remember their names because that's really, really annoying. And I was like, hey, this guy's really cool. You know, you remember that? This is so dumb.
Yeah, I remember him, but I don't know his name.
This is so dumb.
We are the worst people for remembering names. We truly are. Even for something we're this passionate about. Imagine us trying to learn your name in person. We're going to forget it.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. But we had this. This is not easy for me to find either. But we had this trio of Jedi, you know, that were all friends. They grew up in the temples together. And it's kind of the same here where Anakin is kind of like the Avar Chris of this group. Mm-hmm. And the others, well, I mean, Jason's really nobody. He's kind of... I don't really want to...
It's weird. It's like a cool version of the concept of the Force dyad.
Yes.
It's just a cooler version of it.
Yeah. But gosh, I really gotta find. I have to find these names because people are shouting at me. I can hear them. All the Stellan Geos. That's one. There's another one here. Oh man, what is it? He was the coolest one too. He wasn't the coolest one. Nah, he might have been the coolest. He could be the coolest one. He was one of my favorites.
But he came up with Force Rain.
Yeah, we remember what he did. We just can't remember his flipping name. Yes. Why can't I? Do you not remember this guy's name either?
No.
Gosh, it doesn't help when I'm under fire either, because like I'm struggling. I have a names list and I can't pick it out. This is really stupid.
Oh, no, I can't do the names list. I can't pick it out either. I'm terrible about that.
Elzar Man.
Elzar. I knew there was a Z in it.
Yeah, so yes.
Oh, God.
Stellan Geos, Avar Chris, Elzar Man. But it is an interesting parallel here because, again, like our High Republic Jedi, these Jedi have their own things as well. But the interesting parallel with the, Avar being able to have this symphony of music of the Force and organize people, whereas in a somewhat smaller scale, Anakin also did that. This kid is talented. He might technically be more talented than his siblings, but he's like the baby of the bunch, and his dad's dogging on him for things that he can't control. His mom's dogging on him for a potential choice he made that she's not sure if he did or not. At some point, you got to trust this kid.
And by the way, can we just acknowledge it is so nice? It's such a breath of fresh air not to have Han angry at Anakin.
Oh, seriously, dude. But
it is so nice.
We'll get back to Han because there are some things that I'm not real happy about with Han either. But so Anakin, Jason, they're going to Center Point. Leia is kind of in with the military sort of through much of this.
Doing her Leia thing.
Yeah, Han is attempting to rescue refugees. He's sort of doing his own mission still, doing his solo thing. The Yuuzhan Vong, like we said, they're planning with the Hutts. They're planning on taking over some, different planets, and we have a couple of planets here that we had talked about. Let's see. Well, you know what? Before we get there, you want to talk about Hapes? Want to talk about Leia's former lover? Oh, yeah, former lover. Not really, but the one that she probably should have married or could have married.
And even acknowledges it slightly.
Yeah, so Prince Isolde, who, if you look up some of his art, he looks like such a 90s tool. Like a Fabio-looking whatever. Very kind of weird culture.
They're high class, diplomatic, polite barbarians.
And then they have duels. I mean, hand-to-hand, like combat duels, not like duels to the death.
Yeah.
So when somebody calls you out, you have this duel.
You beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Roundhouse to the face.
Yes. Yeah. So the prince is actually challenged here because, like, the prince is trying to support the Republic, but there are a lot of people in their planet that don't really want to support the public. They're kind of isolationists a bit. And in order to settle this, we have a good old-fashioned Walker, Texas Ranger kickboxing match.
You have insulted my honor. Allow me to take my glove off and smack you with it.
Yeah, that whole thing was interesting. His mother talking with Leia. I mean, well, you could have married my son. It would have been pretty cool.
And he's married to a night sister. That's completely glossed over, and I find that kind of cool.
Hey, man, is what it is. You marry who you marry. Just talk
to
Quinlan Voss about all that.
I like my Dathomir. What can I say?
Well, realistically, the time on the planet is pretty short-lived. Prince wins the duel. They support the Republic. They launch their fleet, and away we go.
And they regret it.
Let's also talk about one other thing here, too. Leia has a Force vision. So we are seeing more of Leia's Force sensitivity, and she sees ships being blown up. She sees a disaster, people dying.
Mm-hmm.
And that does come to pass. I mean, it was real. It did come to pass. So, I mean, there are other books out there that explore her Force sensitivity more. Mm-hmm. But I do like that we get to see a little bit of that in this series.
Yeah, it's nice that in a main series that she's not portrayed as this weak, bumbling woman who just doesn't know what she's doing. Because we get that in some Star Wars, truthfully, and it's frustrating because that's never been Leia. It never has.
No, and I'm cool with exploring people's doubts, like bloodlines kind of.
Doubt, sensitivity, all that's fine with me. But when you make someone look incompetent for no reason other than to be saved, I have an issue with that.
Yeah, I'm
regardless of the character.
Yeah, and I mean Leia's always been extremely strong in a lot of the media we have, so it's good. But again, I like the fact that we're getting a little bit of this Force sensitivity here, even if it's just a vision.
Little things, yeah.
Right.
We got to walk before we can float in space and not suffocate.
Yeah, very true. Got to learn. Well, I guess we can talk a little bit about Wuth here because he is sequestered along with Roa. He's back. He survived. Mm-hmm. The
good old
giant sucky worm.
Yeah.
And we have some Ren as well, and they are taking care of a younger war coordinator, massaging
care of it,
massaging his tentacles, letting him move his tentacles all over you and touch you sometimes, and we're in a nutrient bath.
Hentai.
Yeah. I mean, hey, James, I don't know, dude, but it seemed a little creepy to me.
Was the most awkward part of the book for you? I'm sure it is, because it was for me. When they're having these normal conversations about how to escape while they're just caressing the tentacles of the Yavans.
Yes. You, stroke that tentacle. The war coordinator needs to be soothed. Yeah, stroke that tentacle. Yeah, it was... Blah. Anyway, so they're taking care of a war coordinator, and Ruth's big idea here is that he is going to plant an idea in the war coordinator's head that the Hutt that is on board is planning on betraying the commander of the ship. And conversely, the Wren, who have been called in by the Hutt for their fortune-telling abilities, which is a bunch of crap, they're planning in the Hutt's head that the Yuuzhan are going to betray him. Sounds good, right? Except the war coordinator, as soon as he feels Ruth putting an idea in his head, realizes that he's a flippin' Jedi and lets everybody know about it.
Which I'm surprised it took him that long.
Yeah. Good plan, not well thought out, I guess. Yeah. So, there's a lot of things if we can go a little bit towards the end of it, but Wuth unfortunately doesn't make it out of this book. Mm-hmm. We do, however,
in quite spectacular fashion, actually.
I will say, let me build another layer here, and then we'll get to that, because it's kind of hard not to blow a storyline completely the entire way gone. But we also have Kip Duran back, and Ganner, yeah, stupid name,
Ganner,
stupid name guy. I was trying to get his last name. I actually thought I pulled it up, but apparently I didn't actually pull it up.
Ganner's last name?
Yeah.
Rylos or...
There you go. Sounds good.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Sounds solid. Wow, okay. I guess we don't get to just open the closed tab that I closed accidentally. Whatever. So I think that adding in Kip here was good. Good to see. Kip's Dozen, real original name for his group of pilots.
No longer Avengers.
Oh, that's right. They were. Yeah. They were the Avengers. I had forgotten about that. Dang. And Ganner's still with them. They're still buddying around the galaxy, partnering up, doing their thing. And they intersect this story because they do arrive on the ship that's holding Wuth and some of the other prisoners. And just to end Wuth's sort of storyline, yeah, he's been tortured pretty badly. I will say, though, recently I was doing a book with Chase over at These Are the Voyages, and I do not like graphic torture. I don't like it at all. Like, it turns me completely away. It's gross. I don't want to think about it. In this one, though, they didn't describe it. They did the fade to black thing. They did the implied that he's really screwed up. And even when Kip finds Wuth, he's like, well, his legs were like kind of turned the wrong way, and his arms are like, they're all weird and stuff. So
yeah,
but he's been broken basically, and he's dying, which is sad because effectively his mission was kind of not really well done.
Yeah, kind of useless.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Rest
easy, brother. You did a job.
You did a thing.
Yeah. And I think I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. What do you think of Luke's Jedi here? To this point.
Undisciplined, unorganized, not properly taught the ways of the Force. Unfortunately. You have way too many philosophies in his order. The fact that there can be a schism at any point You know,
Well, it kind of goes.
Imagining that in the High Republic, or what are they calling it now? The Fall of the Jedi era. You know,
The prequel era.
The prequel era, but that's not what we're allowed to call it anymore. But no, I mean, that was a unified Jedi under a religion that they followed strictly. They might have all interpreted it slightly differently, but they all had a base to follow. And these people don't. They don't know why they are even Jedi, I feel like. I mean, half of them don't.
Yeah, and I mean, I have my problems with the Council. I have my problems with the Jedi in general, like how they take away connection. Mm-hmm. And I think with Luke, part of the issue is that he knows that the prior Jedi failed. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of cool things from the High Republic, but I mean, they're doing some experimentation. They're not necessarily bound in the confines of any rigidity as it kind of happened within the prequel era. There is some lingering connection and everything and some jokes made about it. Like, well, I mean, yeah, we're not supposed to have connections, but we're totally going to kiss later. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, come on, Avar and Elzar. We all know what's up. Right. But I've always had the thing with Luke. He's very powerful. He's very in tune. He's God tier Jedi. Mm-hmm. But is he a great teacher? And I think that that's kind of a question that this series
he's a warrior, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, think about who taught him. The last of that prior collapse of Jedi, whatever the hell you want to call it, but that prior run of Jedi before the Empire took over. And that's all they knew. I mean, that's what Obi-Wan knew. That's what Yoda should know better because he lived through much more, but I mean, that's what Obi-Wan knew. I mean, he was a warrior in a lot of ways, so was Yoda. They fought wars. And that's who taught Luke. And in a time
really
of conflict.
Got past that. Yeah, that's the thing. He's always been used as a weapon. He doesn't know anything else but to be used as a weapon. From the moment he had to confront his father to the moment he was fighting Abeloth, he's been nothing but a weapon.
Now, I will say this, though, you know, and I think we've never really properly discussed it. What would you do different? Because at the end of the day, I think he realizes that the old way failed for a reason. And maybe I will give you what I know, and you need to go out and figure out your own path. Because he's not seemingly overly concerned with the path anybody takes, and should he be? Should he be though? Because you know, with the older style, that's all they did. They structured it like every step you did what the council bid, you know, so on and so forth. So I don't know, man. I think that he's probably a little off the reservation, but he is trying something different. However,
I think
you know, you have some Jedi who, like Wuth, didn't really think this stuff out too well and weren't really well equipped. But I think on the converse side, like Kip's pretty good. I mean, Kip, he's not the most powerful Jedi out there, and he even said that there are some issues, and I don't think it's with teaching. I just think it's with his attunement that he can't. Some Force abilities don't come naturally to him, and some do. But he has been able to provide a good support for things. And I think Ganner, if he lets go of his arrogance and some of his anger, he would be right up there too. But, you know, again, those are learning things. And Luke's one master. I don't think you can have that much of a hand forever.
You cannot be a master to that many students, unfortunately. Yeah. And the only masters you have are Mara and him.
Well, Mara really hasn't been able to do anything because of this disease. It's just now being cured.
So it's like you see all these people that he has trained. He has trained them all, but very early on threw them out and said, you know what, figure out your own path, represent our creed well.
Represent.
Go do your own thing.
Throw the Jedi
Whereas
gang signs up.
But, like, they actually focus on... I mean, he focuses on his nephews and niece. He truly trains them from a young age, but
they're
he
still
doesn't
young.
do that with the rest of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main thing I see with Luke is it's kind of like watching... You have extremely strict parents growing up. You know, they're down your throat all the time, constantly berating you, and then you go and do a complete 180 and you don't discipline your children because you don't want them to hate you, and you do things completely different, and there's no middle ground. You know, you go from one extreme to the other, and it doesn't help anybody.
Sure.
And that's unfortunately what we're seeing with Luke, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to be overly critical because there are some good Jedi here, but there are definitely some, including, you know, Wuth, that probably needed a little bit more time, like one-on-one time. But I think you're right. Too many students, not enough masters.
Yeah, and you have some Jedi like Korn who he can take
Korn
what you give him and actually apply it and go his own way and make his own decisions and be an adult about it. But you're dealing with a lot of children.
What about Kyle
kids
Katarn? We don't need to talk about him yet. No. One day we will. One day
No, Kyle.
We will talk about him one day.
Yes, the day after we talk about da-da-da-da-da-da. Not saying her name.
Terrible person. Anyway, all right. So let's continue. Let's continue on the path here. So Wuth is left behind. He's severely hurt. Kip and Ganner save the other refugees. One of which is she was a cousin to Han's buddy, right? Droma.
No, I believe that was his sister.
Sister? Okay. Sorry, cousin, sister, whatever.
Yeah, the sister's child is saved, but she's left behind.
Okay. Yeah.
In the initial attack of the beginning of the book, yeah.
Gotcha. So that's some good. However, we have like a big old space battle. Yuuzhan Vong, you know, the Dirty Dozen, New Republic forces, round Corellia, and we go into, again,
And
back...
Happies.
Yeah. And back to probably the more interesting part here is Anakin's... Oh, my God, I hated that so much.
I did, too.
Oh, dude, I am so glad you remember that because I forgot. Oh, it bugs me so much. Pronunciations, because didn't we just talk about this with Mark Thompson, or was that... I've been reading so many books lately and listening to so many audiobooks. They've all blended in. But if it wasn't,
it was the young teens novel. I believe they'd made some very bad pronunciations for Wookiees and whatnot. Kashyyyk, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, there was some. I think that was Light of the Jedi.
That was Jedi Order. Actually, yeah, that was Age. Yeah,
it was
Agents of Chaos.
Oh, was that Agents of Chaos that was in?
Yeah, that was...
that you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. 100%. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I was so angry about that. And this one, Anakin, run. Anakin. I will
It's one
find
thing
you.
to pronounce a name that no one has ever said in the movies. That's fine. You know, there's a lot of things that we pronounce poorly in these books. I know
for
that.
sure. 100%.
But Anakin? Where have you heard Anakin?
That was annoying to me.
Are you even a fan?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I had completely forgotten. So back at Centerpoint Station, Anakin is going through this moral dilemma. We find out that he had the ability to use Centerpoint Station basically like a scalpel. He would have been able to direct its energy weapon to destroy the Yuuzhan Vong. But should he? Should a Jedi become offensive? Or should they only be defensive? Or was this a defensive move? What am I supposed to do? And he asked Jason. And Jason...
Yes. And didn't that bug you so much?
Not really, and I'll tell you why.
It bugged me because of what Anakin says after the fact.
I'm with you there, but the siblings bond, especially between Anakin and Jason, has been strained. They fight about a lot of things because they have different philosophies, and this is Anakin reaching out his hand to his brother saying, I need your help. I can't make this decision alone. And unfortunately, Jason makes the wrong decision. And I'm going to say that. He makes the wrong decision. Because what happens next, and we haven't talked about the character yet, but we have a solo cousin, Sal. Well, was it Thraken Sal Solo?
Yeah.
We're talking about Solo family, man, which is actually kind of cool. Because in the movies, it takes out any family. It's just...
Well, especially in
Han Solo. Yeah, so it's nothing. But in this, he actually has a family, or some family. And Sal...
Quite estranged, but...
Well, yeah.
Estranged, but...
Right. But, Sal here is on center point, and when Anakin doesn't do it, he takes over and does. However, the issue is that he not only destroys the Yuuzhan Vong ship, but he destroys most, if not all, of the Happy fleet as well. And this is what the prince brought along. It was just, first of all, what a weapon. I mean,
this rivals the Death Star quite a bit. This is a terrible weapon. And it's, we keep hearing about, this is just going to disable their hyperdrives.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to do. It disables them by blowing them up, apparently,
Yeah. And to your point, and we kind of talked about this a little bit already, but what Anakin then says towards the end of the book is that he could have guided this weapon.
Mm-hmm. He saw exactly where he had to fire. He knew he could do it. He didn't call on Jason for help because he didn't feel like he could make the shot. It's the question of, should I make this shot, whether it will hit or not? Right. What are the repercussions?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it continues to go back into their battle that they had at the very beginning of the series, the morality of a Jedi. What does a Jedi do? Because again, like in Vector Prime, Jason was all like, oh man, we just got to be like monks and stay away from everybody and just be nonviolent. And then it's like, yeah, but how can we just do that? So in my opinion, Jason makes the wrong decision. And in turn, then Anakin makes the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. They had to do something. There's no way around it. They had to do something. But what happened is much more destruction than had to be. However, interestingly enough, Isolde is accepting of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Very oddly.
Yeah. I did think it was a little odd. And honestly, it's, at least by what he says, it is probably going to wind up pushing his people into an isolationist status.
Yeah.
But they took care of this threat. Okay, fine. I don't know, man. That seemed a little strange.
It's like, oh, yeah, your husband's cousin just killed,
Yeah.
At least 10,000 of my people, but it's okay. It's okay, because I love you secretly.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I guess we're kind of getting towards the end here, and we kind of have a bit of a communication between Han and Leia. Han reveals that he was out there, and he was actually very close to this blast. And he thought it was, what was it, the sun? Like he thought the Yuuzhan Vong had like blown up the sun or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And Leo's surprised he's there. Han's surprised this. They're both surprised. They're not really communicating. That exchange, I didn't care for.
I hated it. I hated it.
Because they're still like apart. Like Han's just going to keep doing his thing. And Droma's gone.
Well, no, truthfully, because Han's even like, so are you going to be home? Oh, you're not? Well, there's no reason for me to come back.
What about your flipping kids, man? They're like teenagers.
Kids are all off doing their own thing, being Jedi. They're not there either. I mean, Han's kind of all alone, unfortunately. And I don't know. It's tough because they all have their own jobs to do. Leia's got a lot of responsibility on her shoulders, but they just... This is the kind of stuff that if you actually canonized it, you would see why they split up in the movies.
Well, let me ask you
can
this.
See it.
Yeah, true, but let me ask you this. What if Leia becomes Chancellor and Han actually does the thing as a general? Like they actually take responsibility for the Republic. They're going to be in closer proximity in that, but they both have like larger duties. Now, Han's never been that guy, and Leia has always seemed reluctant to be like where the buck stops, even though she should be. But like, what if that happened? General Solo doing his thing, Princess Leia or Chancellor Leia, just like live up to your legend.
I think something you would see happen is Han would not follow the rules, and Leia would have to eventually deal with that. But I think that it would be epic. It'd be so epic. It's what they deserve. It's what they need to be. It's what the Republic needs.
Yeah, and that's what's always bothered me so much is that we know what the Republic needed for this time period, and it just never quite materialized. They just never did it. It's like, but why? I mean, why would you, even in canon? So let's talk about like Aftermath. I'm sorry, Mon Mothma was not a very good chancellor after the the events of the Empire. She didn't handle it well, and she darn near died. You know, and if it would have been Leia in that position, I don't know. I think things would have been different. You know, why is it that
Leia
we can't
would not have tried to demilitarize?
Well, at least not completely, right? But why can't we ever get to a point where we just have the ending of a book, of a movie, of something be where things come together as they should? Like, I get it. You have to have drama. You have to have intrigue. This is a long series, and there's much more to come. But I'm just saying, like, at some point, let the pieces fall where they have to. Like, let them just fall and just work off that.
I think it's frustrating because we love these characters and we want to see them happy, and we never really get to see that. Yeah. You know, I mean, truthfully, going through these series, do you think either Han or Leia are truly happy? You know, they have a family that is broken, divided. Luke is
not
a
now.
Grandmaster Jedi with a wife who, for the first 4 books, is dying. Mm-hmm. And he's struggling as a master, and none of the Jedi are really showing him the respect he deserves. And he feels like he's a failure in that respect. And these are all characters that, you know, growing up, they were our heroes, and we hate to see them go through that. It's a psychological thing, I think. But it's like, well, what you said. Luke got to fulfill his potential. He got to become a grandmaster. He did amazing things. And Han and Leia just kept struggling. They kept struggling and never really got to reach their full potential, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. But, I mean, there's a lot more to this series, and I don't want to, like, bring the party down because there's a ton. There's so much more here.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, it's just weird. It's just kind of a weird way to end the book. There's still so many what ifs right now, and it's still very much up in the air. Anything else we want to talk about from this book, or we think we good for ratings?
I mean, there's stuff there's the Vicky Shesh
Good
stuff.
Yep. Good. I just thought about the two. So Vicky Shesh is a senator. Let's see. Where is she from? Kuwait. That's how I'm going to say it. Vicky will be here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily... Well, no, we can go into a little bit of it, but I don't want to go into the entire history. But, well, you know what? Screw it. This series is old. Vicky becomes a giant collaborator with the Yuuzhan Vong. In this book, she actually betrays the Republic's plan for Corellia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to a Hutt that then passes it off to the Yuuzhan Vong, but that was her intention. She also sort of attempted to aid the Yuuzhan Vong in the recapture of the double agent from the last book, but that was... She didn't know the whole plan. But she will be back throughout this series as a collaborator.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the very end of this book is her meeting with a particular somebody who is wearing a very interesting wink wink suit that fits him like, I don't know what, like skin or something, whatever he said, or some weird crap. Hey, well, do you have any of those for ladies? Oh, we have them for everybody.
Why,
baby.
yes. Yes, I do. It was really... That's kind of where we get into the espionage part of the book, which isn't all that good. I mean, it's super cheesy. I mean...
Well, interesting enough, you have a Yuuzhan Vong on Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
And an Ugolith Maskeur. You know, I mean...
And it's its first time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Vicky basically is lining up to be, you know, a collaborator. By her logic, she doesn't see how the Republic can win, and she wants to be on the winning side. But she has zero idea how bad the winning side could be if it's the Yuuzhan Vong. So, yeah, that's as much as I'm going to go in to with her character. I think it was kind of a meh sort of thing, but you're always going to have collaborators and so forth within these sort of things. Mm-hmm. So there you go. There's Vicky.
It'll matter more when we actually see some motivation behind why she betrays the Republic. So
word. All right, ready for ratings? What do you got?
Sure.
Out of 10, how many Millennium Falcons out of 10? Or do we want to do 5? What did we decide on books?
We're doing 10 on this one.
Well, no, I mean, don't books normally go out of 5? Because that's what we did for light, right?
Typically.
Let's do out of 5. You can do fractions. You can do point decimals.
I know.
It's cool.
I'm going to say that this book gets a 3.5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I'm just really not all that. I would have given it about roughly a 6.
No, dude, out of 5. 5, not out of 10.
No, I'm just saying that it would have been easier. It wouldn't have seemed so harsh.
Okay, I understand.
6 out of 10 doesn't seem as harsh as being in the 3s.
I actually thought you would have rated it lower than a 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate the book. There was still, Center Point was the best part of the book, truthfully.
Okay. Sure.
And that raised the number up quite a bit. If it wasn't for Center Point, it'd be like a 2. It's just not a great book, honestly. Yeah, just because of Center Point, it piqued my interest. And, I haven't really gone through all the old stuff much lately. And I'd kind of like to go through and read that Calamity, everything that went down there. So, I don't know. It's just not a whole lot to really say about the book. It's just a meh book. It really is.
Sure.
So, yeah, 3.5.
Yeah, and I'll agree. It does provide you with some things to look up later. But it does fall kind of flat. I think there's too many storylines going on and not enough intrigue within those. You either like spy stuff and like the planning of things, or you don't. There is some action, but I don't think it's as singularly represented as in other books. So yeah, I mean, and even if we're just talking about just the Agents of Chaos, the first book was way better than this one. I mean,
It was.
I have nothing else to say other than that. So as far as
Especially
rating,
for a Han-centric couple of
Yeah.
books.
Yeah,
It
no doubt.
Felt like Han was barely in it.
yeah, for sure. So if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably be at like a 3.25.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's fine for that. Well, buddy, anything else we want to talk, Adam, about before we wrap her up?
Just get ready to be super nerdy next week. It's comic time.
Yeah.
I'm kind of really excited about it.
Yeah, no doubt. And if any of you would like to get any, theories in before that, or, want to talk about this book or anything, make sure to follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. That's all that we do social media wise, I guess. Or send us an email. Just a good old fashioned, nice little email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear any of your theories or likes, dislikes, any of that sort of good stuff about anything in the Star Wars universe, and we will talk about it. But I think that's about it for this week. So you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force